episode number 33 with LoriAnn Persinger. Welcome to the Heads Up Poker Podcast. This is Steve Barton.
Yes, you are.
Mike.
This is I am now Pinwin.
Pinwin, you back on?
I'm thinking of going by my little pocket fives and 2+2 ID. I was just listening to the podcast from Assassinato, of course, who has like a really cool online ID. Alex Fitzgerald, one of the more famous players out there.
Yes.
But no, I'll stick with Mike for now, whatever.
Right on. Let's see. We got today we got LoriAnn Persinger. You met her out at the WSOP. You did a little YouTube video with her.
Yeah, well, I'd met her before. I played with her at Commerce a couple times.
Oh, okay. So you knew her before that.
Yeah. And,
okay.
So yeah, just she's loves poker, first of all. And she's pretty good at it, and she's got a lot of other cool stuff. She was a Hooters girl. I've always wanted to be a Hooters to meet a Hooters girl. So it's like I can cross this off the bucket list. I'm aiming very low, Steve. Before I wanted to be a U.S. senator, I wanted to be a movie maker. I had all sorts of stuff, and now it's like, yeah, I'd like to have a podcast where 500 people listen, and I can meet a Hooters girl.
You can check that one off the list.
No, I'm still gonna write a novel, and I got a couple things cooking here. So
cool.
The dreams don't die.
Cool. How'd your session go yesterday? You went to back to Oceans, I guess.
Yeah, I won $704.
Nice.
In 3 hours. So 3 straight sessions there.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean, every time I do well, I'm like, I can really master this poker thing. Yeah. But who knows? We'll see. I think I'm going to. My plan now is to play at Oceans 11 cash, and hopefully get a decent hourly, and then just to keep things sharp, maybe grind Bovada, the Sunday grind, and maybe one other night a week, and maybe get my Twitch on. We'll have to see.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm kind of reinvigorated for poker here. I watched my first training video this morning for the first one, and probably I watched a couple Carlos ones, but I haven't been staying on top of that stuff, Like when I first started, I was obsessed with that and exhilarated every time a new one came out. So,
wait, Carlos put out some training videos?
Well, he won the Bovada Major, so him and Andrew put out a 6-part series on that. Oh,
I haven't seen that one. I got to watch it. Okay.
When was the last training video you watched, Steve? I'm staying on top of you here. I no longer want to hear about beef jerky and blah blah blah. I sold some cat bones I found in my backyard on eBay. Like, this shit is just, come on.
No, the last one's right now I'm watching some of Mark's. It's one where he did 2 tournaments at the same time. I can't remember what the name of it is, but did that one. Ben Reasons I've watched twice, and I did the Daryl Jace Exploiting Tendencies. That was a really good one. And then I did the Big Dog 100 Rebuy, the one you mentioned on the Chris Moon episode. I watched that one. That was good.
Okay. So you're not just sitting around with a thumb up your ass.
No.
Eating peach pie, just hoping to be a millionaire one day.
Yeah, no. I kind of give each TPE Pro a shot. I watch one of their videos, and if it just isn't clicking, then I like the Big Dog ones. I like Mark. Mark's probably the number one that I like. After that, I'd say Ben Reasons, but he's only got 5 videos out, so it's kind of hard to judge by that. Daryl Jace is really good.
Well, I think we were talking on the Killing Bird episode, and I think just in terms of learning, I use the analogy to literature, as I often do, where someone asked William Faulkner, what are the 3 best books I should read if I want to become a writer? And he said, Anna Karenina, Anna Karenina, Anna Karenina. I think this was the KB episode we were talking about this. And so there's something to be said for just finding whatever guy you like the most and just not only watching his videos alone, but even rewatching them, kind of absorb that as much as possible. So,
because most of the time you don't get it in one session. You got to go back and really, watch it several times to really get the stuff
even if you don't, even if you get it, a quotation the first time. You're going to like pick up a couple extra things the second time, probably. So
Yeah.
So anyways, I don't know. I want to tell you, I have a new thing, Steve, since you get to give your, your inspirational speech.
Okay.
A couple of things I'm trying to get motivated for are working out on a regular basis. And like I said, for years, I was a writer and I was reading at least a novel a week. So I would like to give a quick update on what I'm reading. And just because I know we talked about movies one day, and I know you have a difficult time editing because sometimes we go for hours.
Yeah.
And you left in the part where you talk about which movies you like, and you totally edited out the part where I gave all my movie recommendations.
All right, sorry. Okay, I promise I won't edit that out this time.
No, but anyway.
We only had a specific amount of time, and I had to cut something. But
not that this is particularly fascinating, but like I'm saying, like I listen to these podcasts and I shake my head, and it's like, not that I'm totally ignorant about poker, but the average tournament grinder, like I'm not saying anything enlightening. Well, hopefully once every few episodes, I discuss how I play a hand, and like even a good player's like, wait, I kind of like this.
Yeah.
But anyways, so if there are any people, poker players out there get bored. I mean, I was talking to Carlos, talking about how when I go home, I'm going to get back to reading and I'm going to go exercise. I said, I don't want to be wandering around for 5 hours every morning, waiting for tournaments to start. He's like, yeah. I know how you feel about that. So anyways, I told myself I'm going to read a book a week, and I reread for the third time The Friends of Eddie Coyle, which is one of my favorite novels. It's written by George Higgins, who's like a famous crime writer. It's a crime book, but it's like so good, it's just a good novel. And it was a very good movie made back in the 70s with Peter Boyle. But for anyone out there, if you like Elmore Leonard or, James Ellroy or Donald Westlake, Elmore Leonard actually writes an introduction to the book where he says it's the greatest crime novel ever written. So I can highly recommend. And I've also read several times Coogan's Trade, which was made into a movie called Killing Me Softly with Brad Pitt, which I also enjoyed.
Oh yeah, that was a good movie.
So, I don't have anything profound to say on the subject of literature. Maybe in the future I will bug you and I'll ask Steve's permission first if I can actually read a paragraph or a page just for that. But do you
ever read Dean Koontz?
Yeah, no, I can't read that stuff.
No, you don't like him?
It's too damn long.
Oh yeah, I'm in one of his books right now. When I was up at my folks' house over the last week. My wife and I went up there, and I was blowing through one of his books, and my mom's like, "Oh, you like him, huh?" And we went to the thrift store and looked for more stuff to sell on Amazon. My mom came over with a bag, and she's all, "Oh, I just bought you 5 books." So now I've got probably 1,500 pages of Dean Koontz to.
No, I shouldn't be dismissive. I try to read one book by anyone just to whatever, for pretentious reasons. We're at a cocktail party, I can discuss that. Yeah. But I was at my mother's house and I picked up a James Patterson novel, which was probably 600 pages, and I read it. And it was funny. I looked at the bookshelf the other day, and I could not remember one thing about the book, which might say more about my memory and stuff. So I don't want to be pretentious literary, but there's got to be
my mom reads James Patterson too. Is he like a mystery guy, like whodunit kind of thing?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I honestly couldn't tell you who the book was. I'm assuming it was I think he writes the serial killer stuff.
Okay.
I shouldn't be dismissive because I describe these books as popcorn books, and I do like the popcorn movies. I love the Avengers. I love the Mission Impossible stuff. So I like the movies that just are trying to thrill you.
Yeah.
But for novels, I need those little light bulb moments where someone is observing something in life that rings true. I don't know. I won't even discuss my reading taste specifically. I'll just say this is a good book. And for anyone there who likes to read or is looking for something different to read, and again, this isn't going to inspire you unless you're an aspiring writer, then you'll see what genius looks like. But anyways, that's my book. That's what I read this week. Like I said, I want to read at least a novel a week. And I started, I'm 2/3. I told myself I'm going to reread all my favorite books because this kind of sets my way to being a reader, to being a writer. I'm sorry. Anyways, I'm reading a book by Francine Prose. She's a novelist and teacher or whatever, and she's has a book called Reading Like a Writer, which just has all these quotations from great books and how it inspires you and what it can teach you and stuff. So anyways, I don't want to harp on this, but this might be something I'd like to throw in every week if we can.
Yeah. I just read a book on the plane ride home, actually, from Idaho. It's a quick read. I think it was like 150 pages, but double-spaced, 14-point font or whatever. I mean, just real quick. It was How to Beat Sit-and-Go Tournaments. I can't remember the author's name. I think it's Timothy something. I'm staring out on it at the bookshelf right now, but I can't. My eyes aren't quite that good. But it was okay. It was a quick read. The main thing I got out of it was he said that most of the stuff was pretty basic, so I was able to skim through it. But the one thing I got was he said that, if you're going out early in a sit-and-go tournament, then you should have gotten unlucky. He said because you want to be playing really tight. And he said when you do make the money, you should be getting third 45% of the time, second 20% of the time, and then first 35% of the time. He said basically once you get into the money, you should go for first and be willing to settle for third. He said, but second should be your least, the least places that you have when you're in the money. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
You want that chip lead, and you got to take chances to get it. Pretty much.
Exactly. Yeah.
Especially,
he said, but when you're on the bubble, that's the time that you got to be really tight. He said, but once you're in the money, go for broke. He said, go for first or nothing. He said, settle for third, but the one that you're going for is first. And so that was interesting. Yeah, I mean, reading the book and everything, he certainly seemed like a winning player, and definitely a quick read. I'd recommend it.
Well, that's definitely not part of my plan. It's going to be either live cash or, I'm thinking of my latest thing is I'm going to put in 40 hours a week doing live cash. Hopefully push my hourly up to at least $35-$40 an hour, which is, I think, reasonable.
That's doable, yeah.
And then grind and perhaps Twitch on Sundays, and maybe one other day a week at night or something.
Okay.
So we'll see. But like I said, I'm going to take this accounting class and maybe become an Uber driver and try to come up with some real world thing where I'm at least once a week I'm making some dough.
Yeah, you mentioned the accounting class before. What's that all about? Is it just at the local college or what? No,
it's something. It's like $125 accounting class, which means nothing. But if I'm applying for a job, at least this is my sister's thing. She says at least you're not randomly swinging at things. They know you want to be an accountant or you're interested in this kind of stuff, and you can show you have some capacity. So, I don't know. Right now, my confidence is high. I mean, my confidence shakes. But like I said, 3 straight winning sessions at Oceans, and yeah, I just kind of feel like it's doable. But who knows?
Good. Now, what are you doing different now than before?
I'm sorry?
What are you doing different now than before?
Well, I'm probably just running good. I mean, I don't know, getting max. Although, if you want, I will race through a hand here. I'm sure you have other hands you can discuss with Lori. But this hand happened yesterday, and this is the greatest hand I've ever played.
Okay.
I'm not even going to say if I won or lost it. I'm just telling you, if there should be a pregnant pause here as you soak that up. But anyways, okay. I think I'm on the button. Or maybe cut off. I can't remember the specifics, but a guy limps under the gun, and this is the kind of table it was. Like I said, if I play there, it's going to be like I got to focus on the afternoon crowd. Although they buy in short, it's just older guys. There's just a greater level of comfort where I'm always one of the 1 or 2 most aggressive guys there, and I can take control of pots.
Yeah.
And anyway, so it's limp.
And this is 5-5, right?
Yeah, and then I make it $40.
Okay, limp.
And then it goes fold in the blinds, and then the under the guy limper calls, and then the next 2 people fold.
Okay, so you UTG limps, another limp. You make it 40. Both the blinds fold.
And then you only one caller, so there's going to be $100 in the pot. 40, and then 5. I, by the way, have King of Hearts, Queen of Spades.
Okay.
So I actually have a decent hand here. Although I was doing this a lot yesterday, but people were just calling the limps and then. But so the flop is the villain here is one of the older guys there, 60 plus. Although one of the I don't know if say aggressive, just someone who's willing to accept variance. If he's got.
And what's the pot at this point? 100?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And the villain, I don't know. He just lost like a $1,300 pot. Like a $2,600 pot. He can be real aggressive and he's willing to gamble, usually pre-flop, or, he's just one of those guys you're not going to, if you 3-bet him, he's probably not going to flat with ace king to see what happens kind of thing. You know what I mean? He's willing to play big pots with variance. And one of the biggest pots I ever played with him was at a 5-10 table. I won like a $4,000 hand where I kind of slow played aces pre. And then on the flop, I bet and he raised big and he raised and I raised again and then he shoved. And it was like the worst possible flop for aces. It was like 9-10 jack. Like it'd easily have set or 2 pair, but I'm like, fuck it, whatever. I was in one of those moods.
Yeah.
And on the river, I never saw his hand because I went all in and he called. No, he went all in and I called, but I just showed my hand on the aces. He's like, pair is good. And I showed the aces. So somehow he had like a queen rag, I guess, or something. I don't know what he had. If he had no pair, there might have been a flush drawn. But anyways, I can't say he's a great player, but more than a lot of the old guys there, he definitely doesn't have to have it. And he's capable of bluffing and, can be very aggressive. Okay. So the flop is king of spades, 10 of spades, 7 of hearts. So I have top pair and a backdoor spade draw.
King of spades, 10 of spades, 7 of hearts, and you got king of hearts, queen of spades. Okay. Yeah, so you got the back door to the second nut flush. Okay.
So he checks.
Okay. And hero.
I decide to check back.
Really?
I guess not so much to control the size of the pot. I guess to balance my range a lot. I mean, if I'm c-betting every pot, I think people are. I mean, I don't know. Probably c-betting every pot is profitable at this table, especially when I 3-bet and there's only one caller. But I thought this was the way to, this guy's good enough where if I go bet, I'm very unlikely to get, 3 streets of value if for some reason he has, if he's got ace 10. I don't think so. So to balance my range, I guess to control the size of the pot. But
now here I would think that betting. I mean, I understand that sometimes you got to check just so that it's not obvious that every time you see bet you've got it, and every time you don't you don't. But on this one, I mean, it's pretty draw heavy. I mean, you got a spade draw out there, which you have the back door to, but man, I mean,
but if he's got
there's a shit ton of gutter balls there. I mean,
but if he's got a draw, he's calling anyways. He's calling.
True.
He's calling with a flush draw. He's calling with jack queen. He might even call with a gutter ball. He might call with the backdoor flush.
But that's good. That's what you want,
Right. But yeah, I'm not concerned about pushing him off a draw. Yeah, I mean, I guess charging him for it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right. But you check. Balancing yourself. Okay.
Yeah. The turn is the 4 of spades. So there's now 3 spades on board.
Okay. And villain.
He checks.
Again. Okay.
And I decide to bet $70.
Into the 100, right?
Yep. And he check raises to $150.
Interesting. Okay. So what do you put him on at this point?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of crap or air in his range there because he's probably thinking, I'm a very heavy c-better. I'm lying him a little balanced, 67%. Live, I'm probably, especially in a heads-up pot, 85% plus. I don't know. But so he could think I have air. And so I don't know. I thought the only really choice was to call and reevaluate on the river. I mean, I still have a flush draw. I mean, my hand's very strong, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah. I call.
Okay.
And there's now $400 in the pot.
Okay.
And the river is like the most insignificant of cards. It's like the
2 hearts or something.
Yeah, something like that. So I've still got a strong hand, and he bets $350 in the river.
350 into 400. Well, you can't fold. Are you thinking of raising for value, or?
Why can't I fold?
Well,
he's betting. He's taking 2 big shots at it.
Well, I guess I'm going by the way you're describing, because you said on the turn that he could be extremely wide and he could have just about anything here, and then when you get a 2 of hearts or 3 of clubs or something on the river,
yeah, I'm near the top of my range, I guess is another way to say it.
Okay.
Yeah, he was stuck $2,000. Not that this guy really matters, I guess. He's capable of blasting. Although I was thinking, not that it occurred to me first that this is why it's good to do note taking, which I don't do. Like, it's how much, like, I have this guy as someone who's capable of being real aggressive and, just not giving up on a pot, kind of like me. But then it occurred to me, I said, I think most hands where he's like really putting money in there is often on pre-flop and flops. I don't think he's getting out of line on rivers as much.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a call, but why I say this was a revolutionary hand is that A, I folded, and B, I absolutely didn't give a shit. Which is unusual for me. It's like that would be bugging me for a few minutes. Did I fold the best hand there?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's the problem is his bet is probably very polarized. Like if he's got King Jack, I guess even King 10, even 2 pair, he might just be checking there. I don't know. That's hard for me to determine. So it looks like a flush or a set or nothing.
Yeah.
So
would he make that raise on the turn with something like Queen Jack with the Jack of Spades?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for me to range him on the turn. Basically, if he thinks I'm weak. I'm trying to remember that. I think at least one time I did like check back a set and then got max value. So it's not like, he's dismissing the possibility that I have a hand there.
Okay.
And like I said, I've got a reputation for someone who's just hard to bluff. I mean, I'm just a calling station, or if I want to be sympathetic to myself and describe it as other way, I'm just a sticky, tough player who doesn't like giving up high equity hands. But yeah. Anyways, I folded. Good fold.
Okay.
Good fold. Bad fold. I don't give a shit. I made $700. I avoided a huge pot there where I could have lost $550. And I think in those kind of folds, when people bet big on the river in cash games, they just have it more than they don't.
They've got it more than they don't. Yeah.
Beyond even this specific thing. Like I think I was talking about the one guy I was discussing there, and I paid someone off on the river $250. He's like, well, he's like, you got to look at it as that's a $50,000 loss. He's like, if you do that 200 times a year, you know what I mean? So, I've made some, as much as I talk about how I'm a calling station, I've made some pretty hideous folds we've discussed here in both tournaments. And, I don't know if I make any hideous folds. I make hideous calls for sure, much more often.
Maybe he had a set. Would he check a set again on the turn?
No, you got to raise there. If he's...
What? I guess in my mind, what is he limping and then calling your raise with? Because he was under the gun, or he was one of the second limpers?
He was under the gun.
Okay, limping under the gun, then calling your raise.
Yeah, with no backward. His range, he doesn't have aces or kings. He would have re-raised. That I'm pretty sure of.
Ace king? Would he do that with ace king?
Yeah, possibly. Although, I guess he would bet the ace king on the river there. I mean, it could be a set, 10s or 7s. That's almost more likely than the flush because I have the queen of spades.
Or 4s. He could have 4s. I mean,
on the turn. Yeah, that's possible
because it went check on the flop.
Right. Again, I didn't really. He's got a decent hand pre-flop, for sure, but I didn't really range him on the turn too much. I mean, I'm thinking about what he's doing, but it's hard to limit. He could easily have ace jack there and just be trying to steal the pot. I mean, it's certainly. I think a draw there on the turn, like a straight draw, or if he had just the ace of spades, I think he just calls.
Maybe he has something like 9-7 of spades and actually made the flush.
Right. But again, I mean, just like I've got to I'm folding a hand and I just don't give a shit. Now, the thing is that maybe it's just he's an older guy. Like if I if I got like a young guy on my left who's continuing to do that, and I fold a hand because he just bets huge, and I have like second pair or something, like that one is just going to bug the hell out of me. So I'm not going to say this is a kind of total turn in my emotional, a mental reaction to things that go on a poker table. But anyways, as soon as the hand was over, I liked it. I said, whoa, this feels different.
Yeah, well, that's good. I don't think that's a fold that you could have made for better or worse 6 months ago.
Yeah, so
I think that would have been one of those angry ones where you get 350 in chips and you him and haw, and then you just slam it down on the table, and then he shows you aces or something. Or a set or a straight or whatever. But
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we'll have to see. Although 2 days earlier, I just made a very old Mike style call, and again, this was against a young guy. So I mean, again, young guy or old guy, if you're just putting in big bets, I mean, they usually have it. But I 3-bet with ace queen. Flop was queen jack X. I bet, he calls. The turn was a jack, and he leads out for pretty big.
Yeah.
And it occurred to me right there, maybe just fold. But I did not have a. He's thinking maybe a jack. I check behind and pot control, so he could be. I mean, I thought in the turn it should be a call on the turn, fold on the river if he bets big.
Yeah.
I think. And I called, and he bet real big on the river. Full,
Okay.
Pot size bet, $330 or something. I forget what the pot size bet would be. And I took a while, and I called, and of course he had ace jack. He had trips.
Okay.
And like this session, I made like $150. I'm like, Jesus, if I fold there, then I had just made $500 in 4 hours.
Yeah. Yep.
So, I mean, you're going to be wrong sometimes in poker, but
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's obviously wildly exploitable if every time somebody bets the river big, you fold every river unless you've got a monster.
Yeah.
But first of all, I don't know how many of these guys are even notice that. You know what I mean, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, we got Lori on. Should we give her a call?
I think we should make her wait for 2 minutes because we're so special.
We're effing special, Mike.
That
that.
that she should have to wait. No. Let's bring her on.
Okay, let me give her a call. Lori.
Hello.
This is Steve. How you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Good.
Lori, this is your life mentor, Mike.
Yeah. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good.
Mike who? I'm sorry.
Oh, dear God. We're off to a bad start here. So are you ready for the podcast? I'm just letting you know this is a life-changing event.
Okay.
If you like anonymity, if you like to be able to grocery store without people running up to you and asking for autographs, you know what I mean? I'm just saying this is different for you.
Oh, okay. So be prepared for that, huh?
Yes.
This is going to be huge.
Yeah, I'm just. It's only fair to tell you.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that little heads up there.
Okay. Well, we were talking to Steve about you a little bit, and I was saying, we've played poker a few times in L.A., and you're very nice to play with, first of all, at the poker table. One of the friendliest, nicer people I've met in poker.
Well, thank you.
And then saw you in Vegas, and we got to spend more time together, and I got to hear about your life, and I'm like, well, this is someone I need to talk to some more here, get on our podcast. So thanks for being here.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Lori.
And I'll try to keep it interesting and fun. I'm not making any promises, though.
Just make Steve jokes, and people seem to like those. I figured that much out.
Oh, okay.
So if there's dead air, just
I'm taking notes.
Throw a knock joke in there or something.
So how was your Vegas trip here? Are you having? Do you miss the? We're still tweeting at each other here. I think both of us kind of miss Vegas. The excitement.
Oh my God! I'm having, as I said, the poker. I don't know. It's not PTSD. I'm trying to come up with a term for poker tournament. PTWS. Poker tournament withdrawal syndrome.
Right.
Is what I'm referring to it as. Yes, I'm getting my fill online. I was definitely following the main event very closely.
Yeah, that's killing me because I know some players there, and there's definitely envy involved. Were you rooting? Do you know? I meant to ask you this. Did you know the last woman standing? Because I know she's been in the Kelly Minkin.
Yes, I actually played against Kelly up at the Commerce a couple of times. So yes, I did. I was actually rooting for her.
I kind of thought, female power, you'd be into that.
Oh, definitely. But
She's
no, like I said, I met her, and actually Kelly's very nice. And like I said, I'm not going to say we're best buds or anything, but kind of met her along with Cord also, who won the Colossus. It was kind of like, I guess you could call it a threesome, so to speak. And in fact, ran into Cord after Kelly had made the final table. What was it at the Lucky Hearts Poker Open for the WPT?
Hold on a second. Hold on. You can't use the word threesome without at least just pausing for a second there. And
I had a very different image in my head right now.
No. Sorry.
Okay,
sorry.
I gotta watch myself. I forgot what I'm dealing with here. Okay, gentlemen. It's a family show. Let's keep this clean. Because I thought it was. That's what you told me in the beginning. It's not a family show?
No. Just
a poker threesome, okay?
if my mother listened to this show, I'd be written out of the will. Let's put it that way.
No, actually, first met Kelly back in November. What was it? Was it the LA Poker Open? I think it was the main event. And she actually went out in 24th, and I went out in 21st. And that one was the last woman standing. That's where I first met her. And then the event that I think you and I played, it was a $500 buy-in, which I remember it was the one where I ran my flop set of nines into your flop set of queens.
I owned you there. Don't blame it on luck. No, I'm just kidding.
Shut it. Now, anyway, as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, Kelly went on, if you remember, she went on to win that event. And then from there, a couple of weeks later, she went on, like I said, to place third at the WPT, Lucky Hearts Open Challenge or something. I forget what it was called in Florida. So I had actually began watching her and following her when we met at the Commerce.
She made a deep run on the Millionaire Maker too. I made a deep run. She even lasted longer than I did.
Yes, she did.
She was on my left for there.
Yeah.
So women power there. I mean,
definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I thought I'd be. I want to lead this into a discussion about kind of women in poker too. I'm sure you got some ideas in that. But yeah, it was kind of cool to when you actually play against someone and then you get to see them. So you can't blame. It's kind of interesting. I'm in some of the forums though, and they're all just everybody's talking about her boobs and God, this chick runs lucky, and I'm like, no, you can't have this many good results.
And just run, especially since she doesn't play that much.
Right. Yeah, she's definitely. She's
not a grinder. In my opinion, what a true grinder is, she really doesn't play that many tournaments. She's very selective, and it just so happens that when she does play, she runs, like I said, whether it's luck or she picks her spots, whatever it is, she runs deep. And I'm like you, yes, luck does, as we all know, play a huge part in tournaments. But when you consistently, in my opinion, have the results that she's had, you have to give her some props on that. Like I said, and I missed the forums talking about her boobs. That's typical. It's like, come on, guys, seriously. The woman's a lawyer, environmental attorney. So, she's got something above the boobs as well.
Yeah. Right.
And she's not hard on the eyes, and I have to be honest, I was rooting for that and I was rooting for Daniel as well, just because of who he is, but I was rooting for Kelly more because, in my opinion, her making the final table was just so much bigger than Daniel making the final table. So that was, for me, like you said, back to the whole woman in poker thing. Yeah, I was definitely rooting for Kelly.
If we can talk about boobs some more, though.
I know nothing about the subject.
I believe it was Montesquieu who said, no, there's nothing profound to say about boobs. Yeah, no, I was definitely impressed with her game. Like, I have trouble with emotional, mental stuff, as I've talked about. And, like, she put her in a huge bluff on the river, and guy tanked and called. And this is when she had a big chip lead, and she gave away a bunch of her had to give away a bunch of her chips. And she's just like, okay, well, how much you got there? And just, calmly pushed them across the table and moved on to the next hand, which is not easy to do, especially late in tournaments where you where your chips are so valuable and you're giving away equity.
Oh, I'm sure she was throwing up inside, no doubt about it.
I don't know. She's IQ. She's Ice Queen there. She was pretty calm. But anyways, so women in poker, you're kind of unique. You're not only one, what sometimes you see in a card room, there's just a few women there. And you're also a black woman, so that even adds to your...
Oh, hey, whoa, stop right there. I'm a black woman.
Sort of.
Damn, thanks. Okay.
Physically,
and this whole time,
you have such a pan-racial view of things. I think that doesn't really do not think narrowly in those terms. But
oh no,
and you are also. I don't know if we want to talk strictly poker because we were having dinner there. You were telling me all sorts of cool stories there about a lot of famous men too. I'm not going to even break into it who are like coming on to you as a married woman. But you are in the poker room. You are a dude magnet, right? I mean, that's a fair statement, isn't it?
Okay, Mike. I guess. It's wow. How do I answer that without sounding arrogant? I guess, do guys like to talk to me? Yes, no doubt about it. I never really thought, I think a lot of times too, maybe I use an advantage. Guys like, if they want to give me their chips, hey, I'll take them. Mm-hmm. I'm there to take chips. I'm there to be friendly as well, definitely. But I don't know. That's a tough on the spot question. Am I a dude magnet? I never thought of myself as that.
Well, let me ask you this. I know that there's certain times, okay, and I can only give something from my own experience. Cause,
Steve, take a few seconds before you ask this question. Lori's quick-tempered. She'll hang up the phone on us if it's inappropriate.
That's me, definitely.
Okay, there's, when you're at the grocery store or somewhere, I don't know, and you can tell the girl behind the counter, has kind of taken a liking to you. I don't know if it's the way she smiles or whatever, but there's little things that you can kind of get with whether it's an employee discount that she offers and you would kind of be a jerk to refuse it, make her feel uncomfortable. Are there opportunities like that at the poker table as a woman that a man would just never know or never feel? Are there little edges that you can kind of take where I know this guy kind of likes me. Maybe I can get him to fold by smiling, or maybe I can get him to call by, what dynamic do women feel at the poker table that men will never know or never experience?
First of all, I'd like to say my mind is numb right now with the thought of Steve getting hit on by women at the grocery store here. I just don't even.
So basically, in short, you're asking, do I use my feminine wiles at the poker table?
Yes, there's got to be an edge there. Actually, there's got to be. I mean, I've seen girls and played with them at the table that they, they're like you. They're pretty and. If I was a woman, I would take advantage of it. And, what edges can you get by being an attractive woman?
I got to say, she's not real subtle with this. I saw her actually lift up some chips and then drop them down her bra and say, oh, my God, how did that happen?
I'm sorry, what? Okay, Mike, you wait till I see you. You wait till Rick sees you.
Oh, dear. Yeah, we were gonna talk about Rick before, who's like an ex-Navy SEAL, basically just a trained killer.
He was tech support. He never had the trident. We want to clear that up.
Well, he can't talk publicly about the people he's killed. But anyways.
Well, anyway, moving way off the subject to answer your question, do I use my feminine wiles at the table? Actually. And I'll be honest with this. No, my poker face, I tell people, and Mike has played with me, I smile at the table, win or lose, no matter what. That actually is my poker face. And as I've already said, if you want to be nice to me, one of the things I do not tolerate is someone calling me babe or honey at the table. I make that clear first and foremost. My name is Lori, and only one person gets to call me babe or honey. So that's because I've had that happen before too. And I'll be honest, yes, the thing with the women, you sit down, one, as Mike has already mentioned, I'm a rarity in the poker room to begin with. So I think a lot of times, unless some people have played with me, sit down and they think, first and foremost, I love the fact that they think if I'm only raising obviously with ace king or pocket ace or something like that. Yeah. When I will raise with 6-7 suited, think nothing of it in late position or if it's folded to me. So I like the fact, do I take advantage of that where yes, they kind of underestimate the way that I play? Absolutely. But do I use my feminine wiles, so to speak? No, honestly, because I'm very competitive. And as I told Mike, one of the things I learned in Vegas, I actually prefer to play against the guys because I'll be honest with you, I like beating the guys. Just plain and simple. I like beating the guys. So as I've already said, if they want to take the fact that I'm smiling and happy at the table as an opportunity to soft play me, yes, by all means, I'll take advantage of that because I guarantee you I'm not soft playing them. And that's just me. I can't speak for other women at the table.
Yeah, my mom has told me a little bit about it, and I've seen it too. I've played plenty of tournaments with her, and she'll go to sit down, and then someone will say like, "Oh, there's a little lady at the table," things like that. Does that happen quite a bit?
Oh, happens quite often. I'll never forget too. Right this is when I first started playing tournaments again regularly, and because I used to write, and so I was out of it for a while. But I remember sitting down and having a dealer, I kid you not, tell me that this was a no limit tournament, and I was just like, "Are you effing kidding me here?" I even said to him, I said, "Do you tell all the guys that when they sit down? Is it to say, or do you know where you're at?" It was like, "Are you kidding me here?" So yeah, I've had the little comments. I just sit down and go, "Okay." My attitude is, "Okay, game on."
Yeah.
It's just my attitude. I'm very competitive.
Yeah.
But it is interesting how the different, especially attractive female players, like some have the old BDM. I don't know if you ever heard that expression, the bitch defense mechanism.
Oh no, I haven't.
Where they're just basically just saying, "Leave me alone." They make it very physically clear they do not. Of course, that doesn't stop a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I think that definitely, like, they're just making it very clear. It's just not only necessarily how they dress, but I played for like Six Max a little bit with Liv Baree. And first of all, she had like a tank top thing, and she's got like ripped muscles, which is like, because I'm since I don't work out, is immediately like a sort of a turn off for me. But it's a woman I have no chance with anyways. But if she was like a little friendly, flirty, I'm like, hold on. I'd be like trying to be funny, like, maybe, but she makes it very clear that, she, at least in this scenario, she's there to play poker and she doesn't want to be bothered with other, small talk or whatever. So.
Oh, no, I'm there to play poker, but I also can't stand being at a table where everyone literally has headphones on, has the hood on and sunglasses. Just to me, that's just like playing online, which a lot of people are a fan of. By the way, I've never been a fan of playing online because I'm a people person. I know you didn't know that, but yes, I am.
No, it's very hard to tell.
I knew it would be. No, so I am totally the opposite. Well, I'm serious about the game and take my game very seriously. I believe in being, like I said, I'm not saying you got to talk every hand or be chatty, but I definitely believe in being personable at the poker table because that's part of it, the whole thing to me. That's part of the difference between playing online and going to play live is that personal interaction. And I love that part. Because also, too, I find that from talking, a lot of times people are giving you information that they're not really aware that they're doing.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's another good thing that I like.
Yeah. Yeah, you can learn a lot from people by getting them to talk. You just share a little bit of information about yourself, and they'll open up a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you find out that they're a rich businessman that plays poker twice a year, and this is their week, and they get to play now.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, note to self.
That's exactly right. Or somebody, that they made it clear that, hey, they have if it's a re-entry tournament, that they came with deep pockets, so they're going to be a little wild and loose early on. Again, note to self,
Yeah. Or they're not going to rebuy.
Exactly.
Or they go, oh, this is a rebuy? Well, I only bought $50. Well,
exactly. So then you can put pressure on that person. Absolutely.
Yeah. Where do you normally play? You're down in San Diego, right? So do you go to Oceans where Mike plays, or?
Actually, it's funny. We were just there at Oceans on Saturday. I actually don't go to Oceans that often, which Saturday kind of reconfirmed that I don't run really well there.
Okay.
Cannot explain it. Don't run really well. I actually like the nice new tables and chairs they have, and the food is great. But to be honest, I actually go up to LA to play more because down in the San Diego area, we don't really have a lot of good tournaments. Or tournaments, I should say, that are for my style of play. I prefer the deep stack, longer level tournaments.
Yeah.
Turbo play tournaments I'll be honest, I can't beat them. I'm not good at that style.
Okay. So you mostly play tournaments? Do you ever play cash, or?
I don't play cash as much. I play cash once in a while, like when we go to Vegas. Aside from where I was there this summer, just specifically to play tournaments. When we go to Vegas on vacation, I do play cash.
Okay.
But locally, no, I don't play cash again because I found that I run into casual players, or I'm not sure where they're getting this money, but literally they pull it out of their ass. Just the ass. Well, you know what? It's kind of too late because I already did. Literally, they pull it out of their ass. They make the calls. They can hit deuce on the flop and don't care. They're just going with that deuce.
Yeah.
And they'll hit it because they know that they can always rebuy.
Yeah.
So I find, again, I can't, and only down here too, we only have the 1-2 for the most part. Okay. Which is, does anyone know 1-2 is hard to beat consistently?
Yeah. Because of the rake, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You wrote for Ante Up, is that correct? Ante
Yes.
Up magazine?
I did. I wrote for Ante Up. Kind of fell in my lap by accident. A lady who was covering Southern California had to step away for personal reasons. I actually wrote in a question because there was something, or actually let them know, I can't remember, it was something, VA had a poker room at the time, and they had a $100K guarantee coming up. And there was no mention of it. And I just said, hey, by the way, did you know this? And the owner of the magazine asked me would I be interested in writing. And I was like, cool. Absolutely. So it literally just kind of fell into my lap. So I was just, because he wanted to know my background and what I knew about poker, so I had to submit all that, and he just offered me the position to cover it. So I said yes. So like I said, I can't even say that I went looking for it. It literally dropped out of the sky into my lap.
How long did you write for him?
I wrote for them about 14, almost 15 months.
Okay.
And then when I left there, Kitty, she returned. I then went to Southwest Poker News, which I actually enjoyed. Because Ante Up I enjoyed writing for, but they kept me in kind of certain parameters. Like, I'm more of the person, I love to do interviews. In fact, that's how I met Alex Masick, who has the most World Series of Poker circuit rings. I met him one time at Harris and asked him, he was my first ever interview, and asked him would he give me an interview. And he did. He ended up winning that tournament and sat down and gave me an interview.
Nice.
And it went from there. I know. And that's how, again, like I said, I guess have a tendency to be in the right place at the right time sometimes. And it just went from there. And that's more what I like to do as far as my style of writing goes. And Ante Up basically kind of kept me, I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but basically just wanted me to do tournament reporting, like who won or how many players were in, just the general. And I felt kind of after a while, 14 months, I was writing the same thing over and over.
Okay.
You wanted to write Alex Masick wearing a blue hoodie and some Dolce Gabbana cologne.
No,
strutted. Give it a little literary flourish.
Yeah,
he wiped his brow and one. Yeah.
I like the personality. So when I ended up writing for a magazine based out of Arizona called Southwest Poker News, and which he basically gave me the option to cover Southern California. And I thoroughly enjoyed that because I got lucky because I got a cover story. I was able to, like Jordan Christos, when he won the WPT Legends of Poker, I actually had a 2-page story on him. I got the cover story in the magazine. I did a cover story on HPT. So they gave me more of what, like I said, a question I could do actual interviews with the players. So I reported on the tournament results, obviously, but like I said, I did background stories on the people and the personalities. And that's definitely what I like.
Yeah.
People like talking to you too, which is like, well, I don't know if we want to get into that though, but I was like, your husband and I were like both like personally offended that you did not replace Christy Arnett on the Poker News podcast because you'd be well, first of all, you have more knowledge than the people they have in there right now.
Well, thank you. Yes, Rick was totally offended by that. He just thought, and as I told you, Mike, I thought I had a good chance. I honestly did. But like I said, again, me maybe being naive. And I did think that if I didn't get it, the woman I mentioned from Spain, I thought who had a great resume as well. She brought a lot to the table. I thought that if I didn't get it, she should have. And it shows what the hell I know.
Well, frankly, if I made the video for you, your little promo video, I think you might have gotten it because I'm, just letting you know. I got to be honest there. A lot of it is salesmanship, not just like the resume. Right. I mean? Well, your personality did not quite come through, I think, as well as you could have.
On that
I'm just telling you for the next time something.
Oh, no.
You have to put like a lot of thought into something like that.
And I definitely agreed with you. So like I said, you've already stepped in it. So if another contest comes up, you're doing my video. You've already stepped in it. You came back.
You're her marketer there, Mikey.
Absolutely. No, I'll do that.
Okay.
I thought one of the funnier exchanges here, I don't know what this is, but this just shows, first of all, what a dope I am, but also how you're good at meeting the top players and they want to talk to you. But I forget what I was playing, I think pretty deep in an event. And you're like, I hate to text you here, but I really want advice on a hand. And you're like, Anthony Zeno's break is over. So I don't know if you know the name. He might be the best player in the world now, but he's certainly top 5. So I was like,
no, actually, he's the GPI #1 ranked player now.
He's amazing. So I was like, I just thought it was funny that I liked that I was number 2 on your list, but then it occurred to me you might only actually have 2 on your list there. like number 3 on your list would have been go talk to one of the guys making quesadillas and like, hey, should I have gone for value here?
Well, you know what? You're my number 2 guy, and hey, the way he ran, that's not a bad thing to be number 2 to him right now. He is on fire. There's no doubt about it.
I just didn't know that you like new players like that either. So I thought that was.
I remember I said that it's not like I'm best friends, but from writing, it's just that, and my personality, like I said, I just go up and I just start talking to people. Remember I mentioned it's like you asked me a name drop, and I said I don't like to do that, but I mentioned like when I played up in LA, just Will Fiala. Even when I was at the series, I was playing in one of the single table satellites. Will walks by and he comes over and says hello to me. Wants to know how I'm doing. I just talk to him. I say, you staying out of trouble? And he's like, of course not. I'm like, well, that was a stupid question. Just little banter conversations like that. And James Woods, I was at a single table satellite, same table with him. So in fact, before Rick arrived, I did text him and say, yeah, I'm just talking to James Woods at the moment. Rick's like, are you effing kidding me? I'm like, no, I'm not. So I think, like I said, because he did ask if I had played lately, and I mentioned, about the event number 18 that I said I finally got a golden bear. He said, oh, you did? Congratulations. He said, I figured you would one day. I was like, really? I was just surprised. One, it's James Woods and he remembers me.
Right.
But like I said, I told Rick the only thing I could figure out, going back to the fact that as we know, I'll be up in Commerce, there'll be 500-600 people in the room and I'll be the only black female in the room. So kind of hard not to stand out whether I want to or not.
Yeah, I guess I never thought of that.
Yeah, it's like, it is what it is. So, and that's part of the reason too that I think also I take my game seriously, because I already know I stand out whether I want to or not. So I want to make sure that when I am playing that people know that I'm there to play.
Of course.
And I've got a lot to learn, no doubt about it. I feel I'm always learning.
Yeah, yeah.
And you mentioned Anthony Zeno. I actually ran into him up at the Commerce, just sitting there watching Alex Masick. He was at a final table. And I was there. This was back in February during the LAPC, the WPT LAPC. And I had won a single table satellite. So I took those chips I won. I was buying into the $1,100 satellite for the main event, the $10,000 main event, which I obviously don't have that kind of cash. And I was just sitting there waiting for it to start, and I was watching Alex at his final table, and Anthony happens to sit down the next table over. And I just said hello and struck up a conversation with him, and because he had just won the event they're currently showing right now, the Fallsview Classic up in Canada. And he was surprised that I knew that. And I said, yeah, I follow. And I said, well, the reason I know him is because he always wears a suit at the final table, which is something that I like. I'm not saying you always have to wear a suit at the final table, but it's just my personal belief. If you're playing for 6, sometimes 7 figures of money, at least you can do is put on a collared shirt. I don't care what you have on from the waist down.
I actually have an interesting story about that kind of, not it's super, but I played, I was on a final table in a 1K with him at the Borgata. And then like a few weeks later, not that he probably remembered my name, he made the final table of the WPT championship or whatever. And I saw him at whatever fancy schmancy clothes store they have there. I forget what it was. And he was shopping for a suit.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was his first televised table. So I think he's like, man, I want to look good for this thing. I went in there and talked to him a little bit. And so I don't know if that might have been the first suit he ever bought, but now it's his signature though.
That was the one where he beat Vanessa heads up. That was his first one.
I believe so. Yeah, This was definitely his first televised thing. We're talking about. He's like, he's being honest. He's like, I want to, and I think he might, he had a couple of good scores recently, so he could afford to buy a nice suit. And so I don't know if that was his first suit that he ever bought, but that is his signature now.
Yep.
Or one of his that he's one of the few poker players that
wears
takes
a suit at the final table. Yeah,
takes some pride in his appearance.
Mm-hmm.
I always take my final table shirt. You always got that nice shirt hanging up in the closet, just waiting for that day.
That's why I said you can be in boxers from the waist down. I don't care. We don't see the boxers, but at least, like I said, put on. I just don't like when the guys look like they literally rolled out of bed 10 minutes before the camera started rolling.
Didn't even comb their hair. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, come on, guys. It's like, do you know how big of a moment this is? First of all, that you made a final table in an event like this. And the amount of money you're playing for, seriously, you could have just went to the store next door. I don't care. You could have picked up a $20 polo.
Yeah.
Just something so it doesn't look like you just rolled out of bed.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have a final table shirt, but I know if I ever make a final table, I'm going to be speaking in a French accent.
Oh, are you?
I just want to appear cultured to, I heard Hooters girls like French accents. I could be, I don't know, I don't have a lot of sources there, but
I wouldn't know.
What?
Any reason? I would have no idea.
We're not giving the most linear, coherent interview, but I kind of wanted to go back to talk about boobs a little more. Go back to your Hooters days.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yes, what about them?
Well, I thought, where did you do this and how long and, that kind of stuff.
I started as a Hooters girl in Chicago originally. Was there just for a short time living because I was right after Rick got out of the Navy the first time. He has a broken service of 9 years. So he was still in Hawaii. And he was out of the Navy, but he was on a traveling all-star softball team. So, and Hawaii is a really bad place to be by yourself. So I went home to Chicago with my parents for a few months, and I ended up working at Hooters. The first pair of orange shorts.
Okay. Are you in any Hooters calendars or are there any memorabilia out there from Hooters that you have stuffed in a?
Oh, goodness gracious, Mike, we're just totally going to get off the poker thing. No, I'm not. But interestingly enough, they have the Hooters pageant they have every year now.
Yeah.
That they hold every year. The very first year they held that back in 1996, I was working in the Tempe, Arizona Hooters. And the way they did it back then, they had regionals where they would send everybody. The national championship was held every year at that time in Hawaii. Well, the first year, I should say, this is the first year they held the competition. And I represented our store, me and my best friend Panda. They sent the top 3 and ended up going to the regional championship, which, like I said, was held in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona, the downtown location. I was the first runner-up.
Oh, wow.
And was supposed to go, there was a lot of at the time, a lot of politics. The guy who was the general manager of one of the stores, he was dating a Hooters girl, which that's a whole other story in itself. You know, that's totally against regulations. But anyway, I was supposed to go because the person who won ended up, something happened, and I can't remember what it was. They ended up having 2 spots. So I'm first runner up. I'm supposed to go. I'm thinking I'm going to Hawaii. All of a sudden, I know this. Next thing I know, she's going. She didn't even place in the top 5.
Oh.
So, you know, and at the time, so that long story short, to answer your question, I have the photos from the pageant and everything. I don't ever have anything in the calendar because they didn't shoot the calendar until actually they had all the finalists arrive in Hawaii that year. So my friend Panda, she's in the calendar. I, however, am not.
Right.
So that's kind of a bitter taste. So you earn something and then you find out that, well, because somebody's sleeping basically for the most part, you might as well say sleeping with the boss, you know, they get to go on your spot.
A little quid pro quo there.
I can't remember if I told this anecdote here on this show, but driving by a Hooters with my son, and you can tell, you know, he spent 99% of his life with his mom, of course, because I was living east for a while. And we're driving by a Hooters, and he points to it, and he's like, that place doesn't respect women. He was 5.
Goodness.
And I was like, yeah. I mean, eventually he'll become like most men, boob obsessed, and he'll be in there like eating curly fries even when he's not hungry, just to hang around and ogle the women. But
you know, still to this day, they still are my favorite buffalo wings. We'll still go to the one in Mission Valley on occasion. I actually still love Hooters wings. I really do.
I'm not a wings person, but I think they got a decent burger. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been there.
Actually, yes, they do. Like I said, I've known that for a while too. But yes, they actually have a decent burger as well. The menu has changed a lot since I worked there. It's been a while since I've worked there. But yes, like I said, it doesn't respect women. I just look at it. No one put a gun to my head to put on the orange shorts is the way I look at it.
Right.
You know, it was a decision I made. And it's always one of these things where it's kind of like on the outside looking in, where I always tell people, until you step foot in one, don't be so judgmental. You know, if you don't like it, just don't step foot in it. But it's like, and it's back to the old thing. I guess that's why we live in America. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I knew some of the ladies I work with. Of course, there's always going to be a handful that really are just there because of all the players that came in. That's really the only reason they work there. And, you know, hey, that's their goal in life. I have nothing to say against that. But there's a lot of women, like I said, I keep bringing up my friend Panda. That was her nickname. Her name was Rachel. She did it she graduated from ASU. She was a music major. That's how she put herself through college.
Right.
So like I said, there was a lot of women there. Most women at the time I was doing it, that was what most of them, they were college students going to ASU. Because like I said, I worked at the one in Tempe, which was literally walking distance to ASU. We were there for the 96 Super Bowl, which was really cool because of course all the players came in. It's just Hooters I'll be honest with you, Hooters is a professional sports magnet. There's no getting around it. It's amazing how that works. But like I said, most of the women I work with, it's like any other job. You're always going to have the cattiness. I mean, it's a bunch of women. But most of the women I work with, like I said, to this day, we would hang out afterwards. They were good friends. But I've always, like I said, I guess maybe I was raised to be more open-minded than most. You know,
was there ever, when the Bears were there, did William Perry pick you up and throw you around like a tater tot just for his own amusement? Oh, okay.
This was after William Perry. But like I said, my stint in Chicago was only for a few months. It was once Rick stopped traveling around for softball, we actually ended up in Arizona, which is where and that's the one I worked at. I started at the one downtown. Then when they opened the one in Tempe, just in time for the Super Bowl, which was not a coincidence, let me tell you. I transferred to that store. I was actually one of the trainers as well.
Huh. My last Hooters story, if I may. I was there once, and I remember I left the place saying, God, this country has no chance of survival. Let me just describe the scene to you. I'm sitting there getting a burger by myself, and I mean, I wanted to see the girls, but it was literally like the easiest place to go to eat. And I'm there for the same reason the other guys, so I'm not trying to stand above it. But I did want to eat and kind of move quickly, and it was somebody's birthday, I think. And I don't know if this is standard or just for this place. Everyone's supposed to get up and sing for the birthday.
Mm-hmm. That is standard.
Yeah, so they're like coming over, a couple of waitresses are like, come on, stand up. And I'm like right in the middle of a bite. I'm like, no.
Oh, you mean the patrons are supposed to stand up?
Well, everybody's supposed to stand up.
Oh, no, that's not standard. It's usually just the Hooters.
I don't know this place. Maybe it was the bartender. And then they crank up the music, and it was some sort of like dance. We didn't even sing the song, but it's like, heck, let's celebrate this person's birthday. And we're standing, and there's some sort of dance song. I wish I remember it was. I think it was like Shaggy or something. I can't remember. But and there's a guy in front of me who's got to weigh like 300-something pounds, who's got a mug of beer in one hand, and he's got like 2 chicken wings in his mouth that that he's not actually eating. He's just got him in his mouth while he's up with his eyes closed, just an absolute bliss, swinging and just dancing and shaking his hips and with a beer in his hand. And I just said, "This is I said, "This is." I said, "We're done." I mean, I said I love Hooters, but the American man, which is already kind of has reached a low point. Is just.
Where was this Hooters at?
I'm not. This was in Milford, Connecticut.
Oh no!
So I don't know if it was standard, but anyways, all I needed to do was look at this guy's face and knew that
we're done.
One day the Ecuadorian Navy was gonna go north and take over.
Oh goodness, no, that is not the norm. So, do you like?
I'm having a flash of innovation here, Steve. I want to totally ditch the poker podcast and have one about I tried to bang a Hooters waitress and all I got was this lousy T-shirt kind of podcast. You know what I mean?
So are we for Hooters or against Hooters?
I'm neurotic. No, I'm for Hooters, but I'm like that. There's certain men that need to like that there should be a mirror outside the door when they walk out of there. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know what you mean. Trust me.
Like to self-evaluate.
Yeah, I'm not even going to lie and say it was always all fun and games, but for the most part, like I said, we had a good location. It was, but I mean, also being by ASU, we got a lot of college students, so there would tend to be some craziness, getting around it. We actually took our son. We asked our son. We had his 18th birthday. He actually wanted to go to Hooters. I know you're shocked for his 18th birthday.
Right.
So of course, all his friends, they just thought he was super cool. So we're there with about 10 of his friends at Hooters for his birthday in Mission Valley.
Oh, that sounds like a great 18-year-old's birthday.
Yeah, it was because, of course, when it's your birthday, like Mike mentioned, they come around and all the Hooter girls gather around and sing because, of course, we let them know it's Kyle's birthday. We figured we're going. He's going to get the whole experience. So, you got the whole restaurant full of Hooters girls around the table. So, of course, the guys, they're just eating it up.
Yes.
So it was like they were all having a happy birthday. Trust me. They loved it. So
it's amazing, even in like Milford, Connecticut, never mind Chicago where there's just so many women. Like if you go to Hooters in any like hick town, they find beautiful women to put in there, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're there. Anyways, Steve, do you want to go back into poker? Because I'm in such a Hooters reverie here. I can't even come up with a coherent question. No, I actually do have a poker question.
This is a poker podcast, isn't it? I forgot.
Yes. Well, this is a Mike rambling podcast is what would if we were to name it properly, probably. But by poker question, you said you're always improving and always working, and this is something that me and Steve are always talking about, how to get better at this game. So what is do you watch, you try to talk to other players, do you read poker books, do you watch training videos, just watch like the WPT stuff on TV? What do you think is like the most helpful resource in getting better at the game?
For me personally, and I speak personally because of where I'm trying to go in my game, I'm strictly right now tournament oriented. So I try to follow the players that are doing really well, not like I said, just a one-hit wonder, that are consistently placing well in tournaments. Like I said, I watch on TV, but of course I know on TV they're only going to show the most interesting hands. So you can't take a whole lot from that. But I definitely, every time there's a card player, I'm always reading card player because they always have the hand analysis and things like that. So I read it literally from cover to cover.
Yeah.
And I have read a couple of poker books. And like I said, I watch and follow what the top tournament players are doing. Like I said, I just got lucky running into Anthony. And like I said, right now, he is the hottest tournament player there is right now. So like I said, I'm watching him because obviously he's doing something right. It didn't just come up. He's been playing for a while, but I mean, just in the last couple of years, and especially this past few months. In fact, I even asked him, what are you going to do the second half of the year? Just his first half of his year has been incredible. I'm telling you, when I'm talking about being envious, I'm totally jealous.
I would definitely be like just traveling the world and doing cool stuff there. But if you want to remain number one, you got to just keep at it. I mean,
keep grinding. Yeah, he's playing the 5K right now at the Venetian Deep Stack 5K. It was a $2 million guarantee. They were $2.5 million.
Yeah, that's supposed to be a ridiculously hard tournament, much harder than the main event in terms of competition. Almost.
Oh yeah, I saw the list of who's left, and he just Tuesday he finished. He went right actually from the main event and then jumped into the Bellagio Cup, the 10K over there, and he cashed in that one. By the way, just a horrible fucking answer to the question. Your first response should be listening to this podcast. Okay.
You drop the ball, and I can just never take you seriously again.
Oh, that was supposed to be my first answer?
Yes.
No, you're number 2.
Okay. Oh, you were just about to get on that. Okay.
Right, you're number 2.
Oh.
I told you, right now you just got to deal with being number 2. But look who you're number 2 too. Can I say 2-2? I don't even know.
I like
so.
that. That works.
Number 2 too. Yeah,
We
if you
have
read it in the book, you wouldn't think twice.
An interesting 12-second break here as you see the life of a professional poker player. As I am now going to call Ocean's 11 and ask for them to hold me a seat, if you don't mind, because this is essential. And you can get the feeling. Hey, Mary, it's Mike S. Can I get on the board for 5-5?
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
She's all, Mike, who's that?
No, I was hoping there's a real hot chick there called Donalyn, and I'm laying the foundation. I'm thinking like 2019 after her second divorce. Oh yeah, she's mine.
Oh, okay, good to know.
I've got to think long term at this point. I'm not. No women are not blown away by me anymore. Anyways, Steve likes to discuss hands where he's got a portfolio of them. I'm sure. Would you be willing to discuss a little strategy here?
Me?
Yes, of course.
Oh, I listen for the most part, but I've got a hand for you guys.
Oh, really?
That took place on Saturday. It was a hand actually Rick was involved in, and I remembered it because I wanted your opinion on it, because him and I talked about it afterwards. So absolutely.
Okay.
Beans, give us the hand.
Yeah, let's do this. This is exciting.
I always have to go first. Oh, guys. Okay. Now, as you know, Mike, Rick and I.
It's not stepping into a Hooters excitement, but it's still exciting. I got you.
We're done with the orange shorts for a little while.
God damn it. Okay.
Yeah, they're actually in a box somewhere in the garage and packed away for years.
Aha! I knew it.
So Rick and I played at Ocean's 11 against, like I said, I told you, I run bad, but I wanted to play in a tournament. So I was having a little tournament withdrawal. So we drove to Ocean's 11. There, Saturday deep stack is a $10K guarantee. It's a $100 buy-in. So anyway, this happened on the second hand. And Rick was out on the second hand. And I'm, of course, like, what the hell happened? So on the break, I go over and talk to him because I could see in his face like he was fuming. So I figured I'm just going to let him come down a little bit. So long story short, this is the way the hand played out. 3 players. It's a limp pot. Now, we start out with 12 can chips. So at the first level, it was 50, 100 were the blinds. So anyway, 3 players see a flop of Jack 6, 7. Now, it's a 6, 7 of hearts. The first player to act, he bets.
Okay, wait. So starting from the beginning, what position were the players in?
That I don't know all the specific. I just know the first player. Rick wasn't the first. He was going to be the second player to act. There's going to end up being. It's a limp pot.
A limp pot. Okay.
3 players in the hand. And like I said, had I known I was going to discuss specifics, I would have.
So we have, if there's 3 players in the hand, I'm assuming one of them is the big blind if they got in. So it could be small blind, big blind, and then another limper, or it could be the small blind folded and you got 350 in the pot, or you have 300
somewhere
in the pot?
about that. And I wish now I knew I was going to be discussing the hand. I would have definitely gotten the exact specifics.
Okay.
But going with that, 3 players see a flop. It's a limp. Like I said, it's limp pre-flop. There's no
Jack
razor.
7, 6, and Rick has 7, 6 of hearts.
No, Jack 6, 7, and it's 6, 7 of hearts on the board.
Oh.
On the flop, Jack 6, 7 with the 6, 7 of hearts. The first player bets. Rick raises. The third player calls the raise. The original bettor shoves all in. Now, this is the second hand. Shoves all in. And Rick, and it's like I said, because Rick is not quiet, I can hear him saying, I don't know, I knew something was going on at the table. So anyway, long story short, I guess Rick calls the all in, and the third player tanks, but then he calls the all in. Now, 3 players in the hand, and they all are all in the second hand of the tournament on a Jack 6, 7 flop with 2 hearts. They table their hands. The first player had 4 or 5 of hearts. Rick's got pocket 6s. The other guy has ace Jack of hearts.
Wow.
And I'm like, because I said, how are there 3 people in the hand and all 3 of you are all in on the second hand of the tournament on a flop? You know how hard it is to hit a flop to begin with. So then he says the hand. So long story short, the guy who originally had the open-ended straight flush draw, he hits the 3 on the river. Didn't hit the straight flush, but he hit the straight. So he knocks out Rick and the other guy. So when we talked about it, I asked Rick, I said, well, what did you put him on? He says, well, you put him on a draw. I said, well, that's correct. But I asked him, I said, so you never put him on like pocket 7s? Because, I look at it differently. I wasn't telling him that basically what I'm asking your opinion is I told him, even if he didn't suck out on the river, I told Rick I wasn't sure it was the right move, the second hand of the tournament for his tournament life. And because I told him, I said, you had bottom set. I said, the guy, granted, he had a draw and you put him on the exact hand he had. I said, but he had 2 cards to get there. And also, too, he could have had pocket sevens. I told him I felt pocket jacks were out of the question because there was no raise pre-flop. So he definitely didn't flop a set of jacks. Or if he did, it was a weird way to play pocket jacks. But that even at pocket sevens, he was behind. And I just looked at it, even though Rick did flop the set, that if he put the guy on the draw, it turns out he had a better draw than he thought, that he was basically, in my opinion, flipping for his tournament life on the second hand of the tournament. So that's what I want you guys' opinion on.
Okay. How fast do the levels go up?
They were 25-minute levels.
So it's pretty much a turbo.
I would need to know. This would have to be the worst collection of players ever for me to fold that hand. Like just thinking, well, it doesn't really matter if I win this hand. I got very few chips in, because you probably can take jacks out of the guy's range, because jacks would not be limped. Mm-hmm. So you got one hand that beats you.
Pocket sevens could have limped also.
Right. That's the only hand that beats you.
Oh, that beats you, right? That is correct.
So. Yeah, folding the second nuts, even if it's early. I mean, if it was, of course, if you were real deeper in like the main event or something like that, I even with like the second nuts, I wouldn't want to get him in. Yeah, I think he played it fine. Although, like I said, you would, if you thought you had a big edge on the table, I think is the only way you can fold that. Because the first guy has a draw every time because. He's not going to be shoving in the sevens, so you pretty much have the nuts there.
Okay.
So the action. Okay, so there's 300 to 350 on the flop. The first guy bets. You don't know how much. Mm-mm. Okay, I'm gonna guess that he bet 200 if there's 350 in the pot.
Right. That sounds.
And then Rick raised, or he just called.
No, Rick raised.
He raised. So let's say he raises to 800, and then the next guy calls the raise.
Yes, he did.
The guy with ace jack of hearts calls?
Ace jack of hearts, top pair nut flush draw.
Okay, he calls, and then the first guy just shoves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I couldn't get away from that. I would put it in.
Okay. I told him. And that's why I wanted a guy's point of view, because I think that's an interesting point, like how different women. Now, see, I wish I had women to ask, because I wonder if we just look at it on me. I'm looking at, okay, it's the second hand of the tournament. I didn't flop the nuts. Can I get away from it? It's a huge laydown, obviously. When I don't have a read on the table, when am I? And like I said, that was the way I looked at it. I told him I myself would have folded, even if it would have worked out, or I told him I would have felt that even if it did work out, I wasn't sure it was the right call. But like I said, that's the difference, too, I think, sometimes between men and women, how we play. Now, you guys are both saying you would have made the call. I'll let him know that, too.
Is it a re-entry? Can you re-enter?
Yeah, it was a re-entry.
Yeah, definitely. Go with it. Yeah.
Okay, so that makes a difference. You know, if it wasn't a re-entry, would you have made the call?
No, I still would have made it, yeah, but it makes it very, very simple when it's a re-entry, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know. Only once have I folded a set. And I happen to be right. It was a cash table. I had to pay the guy $40. But it was like 9-6 deuce. I donk led. He raised. I re-raised. He shoved, and I mean it was a big pot. You know, like I had probably 500 in there, and he was another 3,500 to go. It was at 510. But folding. I mean, maybe you fold a set if it was 6, 7, 8 of hearts. Maybe you can get away from it. If there's straight, if there's already 3 hearts on the board, obviously that's something. When I say never folding a set, if there's but. If there's not a straight or a flush out there, I just don't see how. And if you're taking jacks out of his range too, then you got to go with it. But overall, I agree with your tournament strategy. There's not like even if I had even pre-flop, I wouldn't even want that flop inflated. Like I would have preferred that everybody calls, and then you could get away if the heart comes
on the turn. That was the other thing we discussed, because I said, well, how come you didn't just flat and see, like that's the other, thank you for bringing that up. That was the other thing we discussed. And he said probably if there wasn't the person behind him. And I thought, well, that makes sense too, because there was a third person in the hand.
So, I mean, I the general thing, like even if I have, especially in a 3-way pot where everyone looks like they want a piece of it, like there, I'm like, okay, someone's got a straight draw, someone's got a flush draw. If for some reason one guy had the 8-9 off and the other guys had the ace jack, then you are actually, you're fading 15 outs. Well, that's what you were fading here.
Yep, pretty much.
So you're actually slightly less than 50% to win the pot. But
but there's 3 players, so you're a huge favorite. You know, if you're 45% to win this, and you got 3 players in there, you got a big edge because the other guys have less than that.
No,
So
but
that's
early in a tournament, you are still, there's a greater than 50% chance if you knew exactly what they had. I mean, you're hoping one of them is just tooling out with ace jack, obviously, off. And the other one, you're hoping he has just a flush draw, not a straight draw.
right.
In which case they have just 9 outs.
And
Here,
I think Rick was thinking that if it was only him and the guy heads up, he probably would have flatted. And then when the turn came, if he's putting him on a flush draw, then the turn comes, he can do a big bet on the turn or even go all in on the turn when he knew at that point he probably couldn't call. But I think, like I said, the fact that there was still a player left behind, which I told him that is a good point, because if he had flatted the bet, what if the person behind him with the ace, the top pair nut flush, he's probably going to raise.
Right.
And then the other guy's going to go all in, and then what would Rick do? Maybe then
either way, with the hands they had, the chips were destined to go in.
That's
but the other hand, I mean, there's times where early in a tournament, I'm like pot controlling, where even with like a huge hand, and what you're doing is you're just costing yourself value. You have top 2 pair. I might have described this hand once. I remember this was like the second hand of a 1K, and I just didn't want to get it all in, and I see bet with ace 9 on an ace 9 3 board. The guy raised, and I just called, and then I called twice, thinking he could have set of 3s or something, and it turns out he had ace 3, and he was and then my chip stack just kind of kept going down, and his going up, and he wasn't even trying to give me the shit. He was like, "Hey Charlie, this is the guy that saved me." You know what I mean? Like, he was ready to get it in.
Yeah.
So on the other hand, I mean, he's pretty much, like you said, he's got the nuts there, and you get it. Although he's less, as it was, he was less than 50% to win the pot. Once all the chips
I just ran this in Slice. He's actually he's 56 to win the pot. 56.
Oh, he is 56.
Yeah.
Oh well, I guess he's got. They have tainted outs too, because he could get a full house. So yeah.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, but it's an easy call.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It was just a cooler for him. That's why I told him, it's like 3 of you in the hand, and you all 3 hit the flop like that?
Yeah, even if he was 45%, he's 45% to triple up, so he's got to go with it. And he's even more than that.
I'll pass it on. I think he was just so upset that the guy going all in on the second hand of the tournament. And I told him, I says, that actually in his spot, I would have done that too. That's just the only thing he can do, because then if he just calls there on the turn, I told him I didn't actually not like the going all in. Maybe he was figuring he would get you guys. Yes, it's a very aggressive move. I told him, but I didn't dislike the move.
Yeah.
Right. The open and a straight flush draw.
Well, I'm just generally defending Lori's, low variance early in tournaments. You don't want to get it in unless you got the nuts. But like I said, this was pretty much the nuts. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just one of those he couldn't get away from.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
So he didn't re-enter. He just went and got himself a tequila and sat by him. She played.
I don't think, because I asked him, and I just thought, honestly, because he was so mad. And remember, too, I didn't last that long either. I just, not from bad, I just ran really bad. But it's okay, because remember, I told you, we ended up going over by the water and got Dairy Queen. It ended up being a really good day. We went down to the beach, so it was all good. It kind of worked out. I said, we could have just saved ourselves $200, just went straight to the beach. So, no, he didn't re-enter, because also, too, he was still so mad, so his mind, he didn't have the right frame of mind, though, either.
Yeah, you don't want to re-enter if you're not right in the head like that. You'll just blow another
like you say, because he was just like the second hand of the turn. In fact, because I told him, I says, as long as we've been playing, neither one of us has ever gone out, thank goodness, on the second hand of a tournament.
Huh. I've gone out on the first hand of a tournament.
Oh, you didn't?
Yeah. This was a few years ago. It was at the WSOP. It was one of the at the time they had a 345 buy-in, is I think what it was, and it was the first hand, and I got ace king offsuit with the ace of hearts, and flop came out king 9 4 of hearts.
All hearts on the flop.
All hearts on the flop, yeah. Anyways, guy bet. I re-raised. Another guy 4-bet. This guy shoved, and I thought, man, is this really happening? And it was one of those that you don't start out with many chips, and I'd already invested like 30% of my stack. I'm like, I don't think I can fold here. I'm like, even against a set, I think I might be into it. And anyways, I called. He had queen 9 of hearts, and I didn't get there.
Oh.
So, yeah, that was the first hand. It was really kind of sobering.
Nice work, Fish. Let's move on to the next one.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I couldn't put him on too many hearts because of the way the action went pre-flop. I didn't think he would cold call, 5 big blinds with something like that. But I guess unless he had like Queen Jack of Hearts or something. But anyways, yeah. So first hand, that was kind of sobering. I sit down and I was literally there about a minute and a half, and then I got back up.
Oh my goodness, that sucks. I hope that never happens again. I don't want to know what that's like.
Yeah, it was sobering.
It's like, oh.
Yeah, well, I got a little strategy here. One, if you're up for it, Lori.
Okay, gotta hope so.
All right, this is an online tournament. I know you said you're not a big online player, but the numbers and stuff are about the same. So this is a 6-handed tournament. We are 5-handed right now. And it's one of the beginning levels. The blinds are only 20-40. I've got 5K in my stack. That's pretty much what everyone has, except for one guy in the big blind. He's got double the starting stack, so he must have doubled up. Let's see. I'm in the cutoff, and I've got King Jack offsuit. And so the blind's 20-40. I raise to 88. So I raise a little bit more than, what was that, 2.2.
Mm-hmm.
The button 3 bets to 184. We both have about the same. He's got 124 big blinds. I've got 123. And then the blinds fold and it's back on me.
You said he 3-bet to 184?
He 3-bet to 184. Yeah, I've got King Jack offsuit. We're 5-handed. Now it's heads up. So I'm in the cutoff. He's got position on me for the rest of the hand. He's on the button. It'd be another, what would that be? 96 for me to call. The pot is 322 or 332.
I'd probably call, but under the plan that like anything less than 2 pair, I'm like, just do not want to put a lot of money into this pot.
Okay. Wait, what was the flop?
We haven't got to the flop yet.
We haven't gotten to a flop yet.
Yeah, no, it's on me. I raised to 88. He 3-bet to 184, and the blinds folded. Now it's back on me. I can either fold, I can call the extra 100 chips about, or I can re-raise it.
Well, re-raise is not an option here, I don't think.
Okay.
No, and
unless you got a history with the guy where he's like, a 19% 3-better and you want to let him know early you're not going to put up with it kind of shit,
Well,
out of position against him, I'm putting him as a standard doing, which I like to do a lot of times. I'll put somebody on the button when they 3-bet is doing a position bet. And most of the time I'm right, not all the time. But I also believe that if you're going to raise in late position, that you should fold automatically to a 3-bet.
Okay.
That's my opinion too, because also too, and I, again, from a female's perspective, I also want to send a message that yes, I'm not going to fold to a 3-bet every time you raise me. Sometimes I do. Sometimes, like I said, it just depends on my feeling or if I've had a history at the table with the person so far too. If I feel that they've been kind of bullying or pushing, or every time I raise, they 3-bet. And if I fold it, at some point I'll just say, okay, I'm not folding anymore. It doesn't matter. My cards are irrelevant at that point. So I don't know if you've gotten, again, this is live versus online. So it's a little different dynamic.
Yeah, no, I I hadn't played too many hands with this guy yet. By the end of the tournament, I had, but this was one of the first few that we'd kind of butted heads.
So it was going to be another 97. There was already 332 in the pot.
Yeah.
Did you perceive this guy as a tight player?
I think he's a regular. Right. I don't. I'm at this point. I think I've just kind of labeled him as just a player.
I don't know. Again, like I said, I don't know if I'd fold king high to a 3-bet. I'd probably see a flop and just maybe try to check call. That's, like I said, that's me. Depending on, like I said, early in the tournament, I don't think I would have folded the king jack to a 3-bet.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I figured we're so deep, we have over 100 big blinds. Another 3 big blinds to call or 2.5 big blinds to call is no big deal.
So you did call?
I called, yeah.
Okay.
And the flop comes down, so I've got king jack offsuit. The flop comes down king 5-10 rainbow. And so I flop top pair with the jack kicker. I guess a backdoor straight draw. There's no backdoor flush draws out there. and it's on me. What the pot is 428. What would you guys see bet here, or would you check raise, or would you just check call, or what are you thinking?
Me, I'm check calling. I'm like, I never believe it, especially if you hit the flop. Yeah. Or maybe check raise is always an option too. Okay, let me rephrase. I would probably check raise here.
Okay.
Definitely check to the 3-better to give him a chance to give him a chance to see bet, and then I would raise to see where I'm at.
Okay.
Because you got top pair, and then you got to worry about sometimes a jack kicker. And like I said, then if he calls, then from then on, depending on how the hand goes, and we'll get Mike's opinion here in a minute because he's way more experienced tournament than I am. I would probably check call from then on out if he calls your raise.
Okay. What are you thinking, Mike?
I'm looking at pictures of Leanne Tweeden as the Hooters girl. Jesus Christ, she's the hottest woman ever. I forgot how much I loved her. The dimples, the boobs. Oh my God.
Oh jeez.
Hold on a second. I got to wipe the tears of joy away from my face before I respond to this.
Yeah, apparently, Steve, it's just gonna be a podcast with you and me.
I think so.
Just give me a second, for God's sakes.
Talk poker today.
I could be sick and hacking up blood. I mean, you got to it's the same situation. You got to let me recover here.
That's right. She was a Hooters girl.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyways, poker really doesn't matter is my response now with delete. No. I'm check calling. I'm not check raising.
You're not raising?
Okay.
Although I think there's very little chance of, I mean, the two problems with check raising, if he's got a monster hand, if he's got aces, he's always flatting kind of thing. And then you're setting it up where all your chips are getting in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they might get in anyways here. How many chips do you start this hand with? 3,000?
We both started with like 4,800.
Well, I guess they're not all going to get in, but especially if you check raise, this pot's getting, how much was his C bet?
Well, I haven't checked your bet.
Oh, you haven't acted yet.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say he C bets, 265 and you 3-bet to 700. All of a sudden there's almost, there's 1,800, 1,900 in the pot. And, you're possibly, if he's got a nutty hand here, if you actually lead out on the turn and he raises, I don't know, then what do you do there?
Yeah.
My first response with King Jack was just,
check call?
Well, yeah, check, but even pre-flop was like God, I mean, I sort of have to call or don't have to call, but, I'm almost hoping to miss this flop.
Oh,
because out of position, so many bad things can happen here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I would, you got to at least check call one street. You got, if you're going to call with King Jack pre, I mean, you got top flop, top pair with a good kicker.
Yeah. Well, there's only 4 kings in the deck.
Right.
There's 2 out there.
Right. He could have aces, but no, I mean, to think you're second best, you got to put him on a pretty narrow range. And like I said, there's a lot of players that don't. I usually ease into the 3-betting, but a lot of players like to start blasting away with that right away. And since we don't really have a read on them, but I don't really understand the check raise. I guess there's some. I mean, he does fold some hands which have good equity, I suppose. But then, I mean, what do you do if he shoves? I mean, for all we know, the guy's tooling out and shoving with King 9.
Yeah.
If he shoves, you got to fold, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if he shoves, you got to fold. I think.
I think check calling is the move, and
okay.
Reevaluating. I mean, if you want to set up, like I said, the table dynamics kind of thing, where like, hey, you really want to 3-bet me? This is what I do. I call, I check raise, kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then if he does have crap, he has to fold, but he'll be concerned that you maybe outplayed him and had crap. So for the overall, game flow, there is advantages to check raising here, but for this hand, I don't want to get it all in, and you just check call, and that certainly reduces the chances of that happening.
Okay.
See, there's a difference there too, where it depends on. I guess you said this is early in the tournament too. This is not later.
Yeah, this is probably the second level, maybe.
And see, that's the difference too with playing online and playing live. Online, obviously, you can never get a read on a person. Like I said too, it depends. Like I said, where you are in the tournament, and if you've gotten a read on the person that, hey, if they bet it, have they been showing every time they've had to show their hand, they've had it, or what kind of table image they've built up. Like I love the fact that a lot of times when I play tournaments, for whatever reason, whether it's intentional or not, a lot of people put me on a tight table image, which helps me later when I'm bluffing, thank goodness, because a lot of times if I have to show a hand, I have it. So that helps me with my bluffing later, which unfortunately is a lot harder to do online.
Yeah.
So he was saying about the check raise. Okay, I mean the check call. Okay, I can't argue that.
Yeah, I ended up doing that. I checked to him. He bet exactly half pot. He bet 214, and then I thought, well, I can't fold top pair here. It's just a single bet, so I call. The pot is now 856, and the turn is the 6 of spades. So king of diamonds, 5 of hearts, 10 of spades, 6 of spades. I've got the king of spades for what that's worth, and the jack. Now, are you ever betting the turn here? Or are you checking again?
Do you know, from what I can tell here, Leanne Tweeden is not married.
What the hell?
I'm searching.
Did we just lose you completely?
How is that possible that this woman's not married here? Okay.
What
anyways.
are you looking? She was married, I thought.
I don't care. Whatever. This is depressing.
Dark.
Check call.
Check call.
Yeah.
All right.
Looking at Mike.
Although if he bets real big, I'm really going to hate it. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you got that right. I checked, and now he checks behind.
Now, see, I'm different here. I probably would have let out with top pair.
Huh, okay.
Because then I'm going to, because like I said, a lot of times too, if I'm calling a bet on the flop, I'm usually putting them on a continuation bet anyway. Because you're going to 3-bet the flop, 3-bet pre-flop, and then not c-bet on the flop. That's it's just silly. So here, if I've got top pair, I'm opposite. I actually would have let out.
Okay. Now,
see where I was.
That's a line I think is I just never use, which is good, and there's a lot of good spots for that. A lot of people do that with their float, with their totally crappy hands, and then with their monsters. So it's like you never know where they're at when someone does that. To me, anyways.
Yeah.
Although I'm liable to, even with a marginal hand, just call and then see what you do on the river.
Well, if he's got something like pocket 8s, pocket 9s, he can't call you here. Ace queen, right. He might call. Ace king, we know he's calling, but also
you want him to call with pocket 8s or 9s.
Yeah, you want him to call with that.
But what I'm saying is, will he call with that? If you see that. I mean, if you lead out on the turn,
that might increase the chances of you getting more money in the pot because he's going to say it looks fishy. You know what I mean? She's got like bottom pair, ace 5 or something, or jack queen. So yeah, I don't dislike that. Although my first instinct is to just say check call again. I guess I'm playing this so timidly early stages, which I often do. But
does this go back to you losing value on your hand though?
Yeah, no, you're right. It does probably do that, but I'm also, I just, I'm trying to slowly build, so I'm not like,
I'm with you on I don't believe in playing big pots early on either. I hate that.
Yeah. Okay. I did the same thing. I checked and he checked behind.
Ooh.
The river's.
So what are you putting him on then when he checked behind?
When he checked behind, I'm thinking like ace queen, queen jack, maybe ace 10 or something like that. Maybe ace jack. Maybe like you said, maybe like 9s or 8s or jacks. Maybe queens. Maybe something that I feel fairly confident that he doesn't have a king.
I wouldn't dismiss the possibility that he's got king, queen, or ace, king, or aces.
Really? When he checks behind on the turn?
Really?
I told you I'm very Helmuthian early in tournaments. Like when it's 30 big blinds, I'm about as aggressive as you can get. But here, it's one of those things where now with aces, I'm probably firing again and putting because your hands kind of face up here. Our hand, I should say. It looks like one pair, but he could have the old jack queen and wants to make sure he sees another card for cheap to get his straight.
I'm putting him on ace queen if he checked behind. Under
pair. I mean, I guess if he has total crap, you'd think maybe he'd fire at it again. But again, this could be a give up too. If he just if for some reason if he 3-bets with, I guess pocket 3s wouldn't be total crap. It would be a pair.
He could beat ace jack or ace queen or something. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Ranging people early in tournaments is just kind of harder to do here, but I don't know. It's but yeah. I mean, he could be going for the check raise on the. The bet raise on the river too. Just like in his mind, that's the way to extract maximum value.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, he checks behind. Then the river is, I guess, essentially a blank. It's a 4 of hearts. So the final board is King of Diamonds, 5 of hearts, 10 of spades, 6 of spades, 4 of hearts, and I got King Jack off. So, my question is there's 856 in the pot. Are we ever betting for value here?
Sure.
Okay. And what, well, would you check here, or would you check call, or would you lead out, or what, with 856 in the pot, are you going to bet half pot, a third pot? What are you doing here?
Yeah, I guess 55, 60% a pot.
Okay.
Try to get paid. Try to get paid by ace 10 or queens.
Top pair. Yeah, I think if you check the turn, if you both you check behind, then yeah, you got to probably figure at this point your King Jack is probably good.
Okay.
So I would bet the river. Like I said, I would have bet the turn, but since you both check the turn, I would definitely say do a value bet here as well.
Okay. That's why I brought this hand up, because I ended up checking the river, thinking that if he's got 8s or 9s or something, I want to give him a chance to turn it into a bluff and call him without getting raised on the river and blown off my hand.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up checking, and then he checked behind, and I instantly thought, oh, I probably missed some value there from like jacks or queens or something like that. So that was the reason I brought this hand up is because of the river. I thought, I probably could have got another 400 or 500 chips out of him.
Well, I think pocket eights is always checking behind there. There's no point in turning into a bluff there in my mind. He's not pushing you off better.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a slight chance that you've got, a smaller pair, but very, very slim. So no, if you're looking to get value, extra value, as you say, from your hand, you got to bet and hope he calls with worse.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet that river. Okay.
Did you see what his hand was?
No, winning doesn't allow that. So.
We don't know what he had.
No, we don't know what he has, but we know he couldn't beat a pair of kings with a jack kicker. So I don't know.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
Leading out on the turn, might have just put that to an end right there.
Yeah, could have.
For some reason, like he had the gutter ball or something like that. I mean, if, like I said, with that kind of hand, you're almost never getting 3 streets of value. If for some reason 3 bets are going in, you're probably beat or just against a maniac. So maybe if you're looking for that second street of value, the turn was better.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know.
Yeah. I think I could have got 2 streets there. One was on the flop when I let him bet, and then either the turn or the river, I should have got a little bit more.
Yeah, I would have bet, like I said, the turn, because it's one thing when you ask, like, how do I follow? One of the things Anthony Esfandiari always says is that it's hard to hit a flop no matter what. So, like I said, when you got top pair there, at some point, I feel that you should have taken the lead to at least see where you were. Like I said, I definitely agree with the check call on the flop. I like that because you always, like I said, I'm in agreement with Mike. I don't believe in the donk bet. Yeah. Just like them continuation bet, but I would have let out on the turn. Okay. So you got top pair.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's hard enough to hit a flop as it is, unless you're in the hand with Rick and those other 2 guys, apparently, but it's still hard to hit a flop, and then to hit top pair as it is.
Yeah. Okay.
I like this. It's different how people think you can get 3 people, and you'll have 3 different ways to play the same hand.
Yeah.
That's what
the funny thing is, probably all those would have the same result.
Mm-hmm.
Check raise on the flop, he folds. Lead on the turn, he folds.
Yeah.
Lead on the river, he folds.
Yeah.
Probably.
So he either 3-betted with 3-bet with crap, or just had a an unspectacular ace that whiffed, and he was done with it.
Yeah, he was sitting there with ace 9 of diamonds or something, and just missed, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right on.
So Lori, what are your poker plans coming up here? Well, we got some tournaments on the horizon.
Yes, I'm going to give a shot. Maybe I'd like to play at the Bike, their WPT series next month. It starts at the Bike. They've got the, the 500K guarantee. They've got the Mega Millions. And then I just might, it's a slim chance, play in the WPT one on my birthday.
Oh, cool.
May, but that's still kind of up in the air right now.
That's a fun birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought I meant to bring this up with Steve before you got on, but since you're here, I was just looking at the schedule for the WSOP circuit. And you know how the circuit wins? There's like a casino champion, and if you win that, you get to go to Atlantic City to play in the 10K. Mm-hmm. You get a free entry.
Right.
So I was wondering, I know Steve doesn't get long stretches, but at least probably or one or two of these WSOP circuit stops, I'm going to be going with the specific ambition of like winning that circuit championship. I did that at Harrah's Rincon this year, and I final tabled the first two events, but it was only an 8th or a 9th, and then I bricked everything thereafter.
I final tabled the third event.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay, that's right. I saw you there.
Yeah.
When is this circuit, Mike?
Well, the circuit has like 20 events, so there's different stuff. So I was just looking, I don't know if this would be a Mike and Steve trip together, but I mean, the obvious one, there's one, let's see, there's one in, there is one at the Bike in early December. So that's the obvious one.
We're way out. Okay, I was thinking like in a couple of weeks.
No, there is, they do start, there's one in, Foxwoods actually starting soon, which would be perfect for me, but I have my son during that time, but I would love to go east and meet up with friends and do that, but I can't do that. But quickly, the couple that jumped out at me, there's there was also a circuit November 12th through November 23rd at Planet Hollywood. So Steve, you could go out there and stay for cheap, obviously. And
12th through 23rd. Okay.
And so the problem with that one, I'd like to go out with that too. Hopefully, it would depend on hotel costs or whatever. If I
this
could find
is
a place.
Planet Hollywood.
Yeah, the problem with that, problem with that one is the competition that's the toughest probably circuit stop, because you will have pros who will play those events more so than any place else. That's my suspicion. And the other two that jumped out at me, I just randomly, I think it was the time. There's one in early October, which is at the Horseshoe in Indiana. And maybe I'm being regionally discriminatory here. There's good poker players everywhere. And then there's one late November, early December at the Harrah's Cherokee in North Carolina. So anyway, I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. There's like 20 or 30 of these. But I don't know if, Steve, you want to take a look at the schedule. Like I said, that's always been a goal, or at least the last couple of years. And I took just one shot at it this last year, going to the Bike, and did not go well. But yeah, I want to have at least two of these trips here where I go for the first. These usually last like 11 days and have like 13 or 14 events or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And so anyways, that's my poker plan of the next 4 months probably. I will do two of those, and I just have to decide when exactly.
Yeah, I've got all of November off. Well, not all of November, but from the 6th until, I think, December 6th. Yeah, so basically a month. My wife and I are going to the Philippines then, but I don't know when we're going. I don't know yet. But you said the November one at Planet Hollywood was the 12th through the 23rd?
Yep. And then the Harrah's Cherokee is the November 26th through the December 7th. Again, more plane ticket there, more cost of living. But again, I'm going for like a specific reason. It's to, which is probably, I mean, pretty much every poker trip, unless the casino's next to you, is kind of minus EV, if we're honest about it. But
they're still fun as hell.
Right. Well, that's, yeah. But anyways.
I could probably do the Planet Hollywood one. I mean, that, depending on what time we get back, I don't know. If we get back the 20th, I don't know if I'm going to feel like jumping into a tournament right after that. But
right. Well, then your goal would probably be different than mine, just to experience it for the first time and play a couple tournaments. Where,
yeah,
if I go to one of these, I want to play a whole series. It's certainly the main event, which is the tournament with the biggest value.
Yeah.
But anyways, I thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like fun.
It does.
Sounds like fun.
So, Lori, next time you're down, obviously at Oceans, you got to let me know.
No. Okay.
WTF, sister.
Right back at you. Hey, I've got a quick question though for you guys. Two things. Did you ever discuss your main event? Did I miss
yeah,
that?
that'll be coming up soon. We did go into my main event debacle.
Oh. Hey, because I wanted to know. So, those of us.
You're welcome. No, you're welcome to ask questions there. I had one huge hand, which was kind of screwed my whole tournament, where I 4-bet with ace-8, and then c-bet, and then bombed the turn pretty big. And the guy called me down with ace-king, and I didn't have the courage for the river shove, which is, I guess, the move. And that got me low on chips. And
I remember you tweeted about that hand. I saw that one.
And I had a really tough table. One thing, Lori, you and I really have in common that I've noticed here is we both kind of blame it on getting unlucky, which is true. But like most pros, it's considered like bad taste to do that. But
exactly.
I don't give a shit. I do it. And but of course, I was like one of the luckiest bastards alive in Vegas this summer, so I can't really do that. But yeah, no, I can't really say I was too unlucky there. I was on a really tough table and didn't play my A game. And my bust out, I got rivered a couple of big pots. But yeah, you know what I mean? I played it like any other tournament, I guess. I wasn't nervous or any of that kind of stuff. I just wasn't my day.
I don't know. I think the only one I could say I got unlucky really was the ladies tournament. Remember I told you I ran the tens and the jacks, which was the odd hand the way it was played. I didn't put her on that. It was just an oddly played hand. My other ones, just like I said, at the famous series, I played the one hand. I pushed with the pocket eights, ran into ace king. It's just, like I said, it's just the timing. I know that comes with it. So I don't look at it as getting unlucky per se. Like I said, I don't know. It's just one of these, like I said, because I follow, like I said, the main event thoroughly. So I know what getting unlucky is. How many times I saw somebody get it in with the aces and they hit the two outer, and that way I look at it. Me getting unlucky with the levels I play it is just part of the game. But like I said, I consider some of the hands I've seen and like I said, in the play-by-play, that was unlucky. And they had some really bad beats.
The funny thing is the bad beats, I'll bitch about them, but I will forget those pretty quick. I won't be able to tell you the bad beats that I've had. But like if you misplay a hand, like the experience that I had this summer, the one that I'll be regretting, and I don't know if there's any hands I played hideously. I just was not playing my A game and mentally. Was that right after winning the Venetian, my very second tournament, all of a sudden I'm going deep in Planet Hollywood with 2,100 players. I'm down near the end.
Yeah.
And I just had a massive stack. About as big a chip stack. Like when we were down to 28, I remember, 7-handed on each table. I had my table covered. I had 3.2 million. They probably had about 3 million total. And somehow I came 14th. Again, bad beat, ace on the river. The guy got me. But I got mixed, I was just one of those things where I decided I'm just going to bully everyone and keep going, where I should have been just laying back and picking my spots. And if I did that, again, there's a couple hands specifically I can remember, but that's busting the main event and even getting, rivered a couple times is not, that'll all be forgotten. And,
yeah.
But
it comes with the territory. Pretty much.
But that planet,
of course it does, but
But the Planet Hollywood, I think there was 160-something thousand up top, and there's still variance. I think I probably did lose a flip or two in there, but I can't even remember. It just seemed to me that I was being too aggressive against the wrong guys. Mm-hmm. People who aren't just going to be bullied around. So yeah, that's the one. More than any bad beats I took this summer, that'll be the one that I remember.
Oh. Now, my other thing I want to know, going to the main event, since it was your first main event, like that morning, did you feel like anything different when you woke up that morning, know you were going to play, like any anxiety, nervous excitement? And don't tell me it was just like any other tournament. Because that's what they say about the Super Bowl. It's like, you're full of crap.
Well, after doing my 6 shots of tequila, which I do every morning.
Okay.
No, well, Steve Rosa, I had just gone to New York for a week and then flew back to San Diego and got there in the morning. So I was not even, no, it really was another tournament for me.
Really?
Oh, the only thing that changed, and I joked with Steve about this, was this ace 8 hand where I probably should be shoving the river because there's so many chips in there. Yeah. And I think he's finally going to capitulate on the river. I joked. I said, it's a 10K and I'm backed. I said, if this goes badly, I said, I'm going to lie on Twitter and claimed I got aces cracked or set over set. I am such a man. I am so rectitudinous, such a man of integrity here. It put that in peril. That was about the only thing. Although, I guess it's more disappointing when you get knocked out, because I saw another pro out there that I know, and he was mumbling around. And it seems the main event is the one tournament where you just got to play well and good things will happen. Like variance is reduced because the stacks are so deep, because there's so much weak competition.
2-hour levels, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like, how the fuck did we go out before dinner? We're looking at each other. And, I can't remember. He told me his hands and I told him my hand. And I didn't feel like I got unlucky. I decided to play a huge pot. I got unlucky with the table draw too. But that's the one thing that's different. Any other tournament, you get knocked out, and it wasn't even just the money. I think it was just the bigness of it, whatever, the prestige. I don't know.
What was the deal with your table draw? Tough table?
Yeah, they just had a tough table.
Super aggressive. Like I said, my idea of just like playing small pots and slowly chipping up and getting to see a lot of flops. It was like ridiculous. Like I said, there one guy 5-bet folded his second hand that he played.
5-bet folded?
Yeah, and there was another guy who's 6-bet shoved with ace king and ran into aces, and there was just 7 guys who were under 20. 3 of them were European, not to be like discriminatory, but 3 of them were European. 1 was Asian, 1 was Indian. That right away sounds like the fucking toughest table.
Who 5-bet folds?
Well, I do it too.
Really?
not in a fucking 10K.
4-bet call?
Well, no, he's only 5-bet folding because he has absolute crap.
Well, I know that now, but I'm just saying, you 5-bet and you fold. Wow.
No, I mean, but believe me, I've seen it. That's become much more uncommon, I think, now than it was a couple years ago, where it was just like a freaking game of chicken. But anyways, it was just, I didn't respond well because it was just hard to see flops for cheap. Like if somebody opens from, early position, like you have, Jack 9 suited on the button. You're like, okay, great. I get to call. Mm-hmm. But then someone is like squeezing from the blinds and squeezing big. Like I'm definitely not, like rarely 3-betting out of position early in a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Unless I got aces or kings. It's almost always going to be for value. Maybe slide a couple in there just for balance. But so anyways, it was just super aggressive. And it's funny, I was talking to Carlos about it. And I said the optimal strategy was probably just to lay back and wait for hands. And I was explaining to him, I said, it just feels like you're playing crappy if you're saying, God, give me some hands. I mean, when you're short, It's a different thing when you got 15 big blinds and you're frustrated and there's nothing else to do. You're looking for a shove spot, any shove spot.
I know that well.
But early in tournaments or you're deep stacked in cash, I'm like, if I'm waiting for hands, I said I shouldn't be at the table. I'm outmatched kind of thing. But sometimes Carlos is like, no, that's just the hands will come and people will pay you off. And so, yeah, I was still trying to be a little creative. And, I got caught bluffing a couple times. And I said, well, if I get hands now, I'm definitely getting paid. But the hands never really came. And I never got paid. And I was a little too active and just slowly chipped down and then finally bust out.
So you were at a table that, 1, didn't like to fold, and 2, they were looking to chip up early, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a dick waving contest, is what it was between.
That's what it sounds like. I'm glad you said that. Yes.
No, I don't know. I mean, these guys were good, but it was just, it's poker 101. It's like obvious strategy. If some guy's 3-betting a lot, you start 4-betting, and then I guess it never really got beyond that. But if other people will recognize, well, this guy's the only reason this guy's 4-betting is because this guy's 3-betting too much. And then all of a sudden you get the light 5-bet in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, some of the stuff I'm just, it's hard to see flops, and some of the stuff that I do is everybody was double barreling. If I'm in position, I love just calling with anything and just floating. And then early in a tournament, usually guys don't want to play big pots or they're going to give up on their crap. But no, everybody was double barreling. And just a bunch of solid players. And like I said, it's a lot of people compared to like the main event is like, it's like playing $100 nightly tournament at some place, except for late, of course, where it's a bunch of wizards. But this table is not like that. Most people say there's always like 2 or 3 people first day of a tournament that are just terrible and you're just waiting around for them to give you your chips. But this was a tough table. Yeah, that was part of the equation. But yeah, your first question is, I really felt nothing coming to this tournament. It was just like, okay, let's get a read on the table. Let's play good poker. And obviously I'm treating it like any other tournament. If I'm fucking 4-betting ace-8 and then double barreling off 2/3 of my chips, I mean, I do that normally in 1K. So, so I take pride in my approach, I guess is what I'm telling you.
I'm writing this down, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No. Don't listen to Steve. Listen to Steve Knittington, who would just sit there and take a nap the first 3 hours and just. This
so I'm somewhere in between the two of you. I pick my spots, but I like watching early on so I can get a read on people.
Right. Yeah, I had a read which said I needed to gangster it up to grab a couple pots, and it just didn't work. Yeah, but
if
if you play the main event, Yeah, I would definitely. That's much merit into just playing really tight early, I guess. But like I said, Lori, we've discussed this before. Your image is always going to be really tight. So I mean, you got to take advantage of that.
Yep.
You got to put in some light 3-bets. You got to put in. They probably don't even think understand what floating means. You know what I mean? Like
I've come across that too.
So, like I said, I mean, optimal play for you is always, picking your spots and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think for the main event, playing a little tighter than you normally do is the way to go, particularly if, it's costing you a lot of money just to see flops like it was at this table.
Yeah. And that also, too, going back to the question Steve asked me a while ago, and that is pretty much when you asked about the under the feminine wiles kind of thing. I think I did answer, but more so that's more what I like to do, playing up to what my table image is, or the perceived, I guess, or the perception that people have. And I mentioned before that if she's raising or 3-betting, she must have ace king or pocket aces or something like that. And I love that they think that. That, like I said, would never think that I happen to love 9-10 suited or something, even 8-10 suited. I've played that with that before. But no one would ever put me on doing that. Of course, now when I'm at the table with you, now you're going to know. No.
Yeah, but these good players will figure out what you're up to pretty soon.
Yeah.
And I always assume that poker people have just gotten so good that just everybody's capable of stealing pots, which you have to. But
well, we should probably wrap up. This is going to be one of our longer ones. But do you have any plugs you wanted to put in, Lori? You want to put it in your Twitter? Or?
Oh, my Twitter? Oh, so because I have a huge Twitter following now. I'm
yes.
LoriAnn Per. That's LOANPER 66.
Okay, cool.
And please don't ask her for Hooters pictures, for God's sakes, you filthy animals.
Yes, please do not.
Please, I am just offended, by men who are objectify. Oh my God, look at this picture of LoriAnn.
Yes, I have a 24/7 bodyguard, so I'm good. I'm not worried.
Right. Now, I am 99.99% sure that LoriAnn Tweeden does not listen to this podcast. But if there's a chance that somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, somebody might be able to weave their way through the world. No, I won't even make this request.
No.
No, I don't. Yeah, I just, LoriAnn, I'm the only man who understands you. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, are you guys also aware of the Poker Stars California tour that they're doing to kind of wrap up support for the, since you guys play online poker, trying to get online poker legalized here in California?
Yeah, we're fucked with that. They just canceled a hearing in the State House regarding that for some reason.
Really?
Scheduling. So you never know. It might come.
Yeah, I know they start, in fact, because you mentioned Liv Boeree, I know they're down in Southern California this weekend. She and Jason Somerville are making an appearance. Kid Poker is making an appearance.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Some of the local cards.
I would think he'd be recuperating, but he does. Full Tilt Poker probably puts a lot of money in his pocket. So when they say, well, you got to be here, I'm sure he probably.
Yes, since he's still one of the few sponsored pros.
Well, Lori, I hope to see you soon.
Yes, thank you for coming on, Lori.
Oh, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. I hope I didn't bore you.
It was a pleasure. The pleasure was all on this side.
You and Rick will be taking me to dinner, and I promise I will only have 3 glasses of champagne. I'll try to keep that bill down so you can keep your poker money.
I was thinking Jack in the Box. They have those 2 tacos for $1.
God damn it! You do remember how good that buffet was, don't you? There was goddamn prime rib on that thing. Anyways, fair enough. Great fun talking to you, and hopefully we'll do it again soon.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Lori.
I appreciate it.
Yes, and you can hit us up on Facebook, Heads Up Poker Podcast, Twitter, @HUP Podcast. You can hit up Mike on Twitter, @Mike Snyderman. Email us with any hands or suggestions you have at Gmail account, headsuppokerpodcast @gmail.com. And check out our blog, headsuppokerpodcast.blogspot.com. Thank you for tuning in, and here is your weekly motivational speech.
You have a vision, but listen to me. You are where you are because of who you are. And if you're going to get somewhere else, you're going to have to change something. So you thought it was the end of the story. You thought that one single event, that one single moment was enough for him to stand amongst the greats. Sleep. I don't sleep. You thought that was it? Well, you thought it was over. Well, it's just getting started. This is the part where you reinvent yourself. It's time to get tested, to test your will, your endurance. It's time to test your heart, to test your limit. It's about no days off, no weekends, no holidays, no birthdays. Listen to me, no days off. It's about gaining the